Hey YouTube, this is Silver Lightsaber as always, and this time I am serious when I make this video. I have just finished watching Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, and I just want to kick myself for not buying this DVD sooner. It's been out since 2006, and I am telling you right now, whoever's watching this, if you have not bought this DVD by now and you are a Superman fan, more importantly a Christopher Reeve Superman fan, buy it. You are doing yourself a disservice by not buying this already. Now, I know I seem a little intense to start off with, but if you haven't seen this movie, the Richard Donner cut, I don't think you can really understand. Let me put this into perspective first. Richard Lester was hired on during the production of Superman 1 and 2. They filmed them back-to-back, just like the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Richard Donner was kicked out because the Salkinds had problems with him, financial problems, the budget was going too high, they disagreed with him about many things. Long story short, Richard Donner was cut from the project after he had filmed about 70% of Superman 2, his version of Superman 2. Then they brought on Richard Lester, who they knew from previous films that they did, The Three Musketeers, I believe. They brought him aboard so they could finish Superman 2, because Superman the movie hit theaters and it was a huge success. So they really needed to finish Superman 2, so they brought on Richard Lester, who not only finished the remaining 30% of the film, but after watching the Richard Donner cut, you will really see a difference in tone and how Richard Lester brought his style of directing and editing to the project and really re-envisioned it. Now, my personal opinion, overall, the Salkinds, I don't know what the problems were, so I can't exactly judge too harshly, but for the sake of the movie, the Salkinds made a tremendous mistake. Richard Donner and his take on Superman and Superman 2 is just epic. It is grand. And if you watch Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, you will definitely see a huge difference in how the two directors envision how this character should be portrayed. Richard Lester agreed with the Salkinds, obviously, when you watch 2, 3, that they liked a little more campiness to Superman. And I never actually heard this, but after seeing 2 and 3, I have to kind of think that Lester and the Salkinds, when they were given a lot more control, because when Donner was on board, it was always conflicting creatively. But when Lester and the Salkinds were on the same page, I don't think that they liked the idea of taking this character so seriously and in such a grand scale like Richard Donner loved to do in the Superman the movie and the Superman 2 that he envisioned. I personally do not like that idea. I completely agree with Richard Donner. He says that Superman's Americana, and don't mess with that. I completely agree. He needs respect. He needs to be given that a platform to stand on in American cinema, because he's an historical figure. You look back at the 20th century, and Superman's a pop culture icon. He helped get people out of hard times by looking for hope and having people keep their head up during the Great Depression, and he's just a historical figure, and he's a pop culture icon. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, its tone is completely different. It feels grand. And they were able to include the Marlon Brando footage that they weren't able to because I don't believe they were able to pay Marlon Brando the amount that he needed in order for him to consent for it to be used, which is a real shame because Marlon Brando's performance in Superman 2 really helped keep the story grounded and serious, and it just made it so much more epic. And I won't give away any spoilers, but I will say that Marlon Brando plays an intricate role in Superman 2. He's not just in it like for the first 10 minutes like he was in Superman the movie. He's in it maybe for a little longer, but he's an important part to the story. He's not just in the beginning and he's Superman's father. He's very vital to the story, and I can't really say much else. He's Marlon frickin' Brando. But there's a really cool sequence between Marlon Brando and Christopher Reeve where they're actually, if they're not, it looks like they're actually in the same place, which is really cool. But yeah, that's one scene that is just wonderfully done. And, to clear up some confusion, the Richard Donnor cut, what happened was that Richard Donnor went into the WB vault and went through as much old footage as he could possibly find of what he filmed and re-edited it with Superman 2 to create the closest vision that he had for Superman 2 without actually filming the movie himself. He took all that he filmed and kind of used a little bit of Lester footage to fill the plot holes. Now, after watching Superman 2, it really makes me wonder what Superman 2 would have been like if Richard Donner had been the director and his vision would have been. It just would have been amazing. There's so many cool lines. The lines aren't as campy as they were in Superman 2, the original. They're not as campy. So it doesn't make the audience feel like they either have to be a child or an idiot to enjoy them. I mean, Superman 2, I like Superman 2, but after watching the Richard Donner cut, there's really no comparison. Superman 2, comparatively speaking, Superman 2 is for kids, whereas Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, is can not only be for kids, but has enough material to keep it serious that adults will enjoy it as well, and older teenagers and so on. And it's just so much more respectable. And I know I'm seem excited, but I just can't help it. Very few films that I watch, I feel affected by after I've seen them. I enjoy most films that I watch, but being affected by them is what really separates films from my favorite films. And Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, definitely affected me. It felt like I escaped into Superman's world in Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, in a way that I didn't in the Richard Lester cut. And that's saying something, because the movie itself is almost like a fan film at times, like the ones I do and other people do, because Richard Donner didn't get to film everything according to his liking. He was fired in the midst of production. So he was only able to work with what he had, what was filmed, and what he filmed. So in a way, this is like a big budget fan film, which is really cool to watch for people like me and other video editors out there. And so, yeah, it's just great. And there's more substance to the story. It's just great. I don't know what else can be said about it. I just wanted to get my emotions out there because I'm still buzzed off of it. Christopher Reeve's performance is once again great. All the actors are great. Having Marlon Brando in the Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, really brings in that Superman feeling, that epic grandeur, because Marlon Brando is not only a quality actor, but he brought Jor-El to life, and having Jor-El in Superman 2 carried Superman. Well, it didn't carry Superman 2, but it brought Superman 1 and then transitioned into Superman 2. You felt like this is a direct continuation, not like Superman 2, the original, where there were slight references to Superman 1. Superman 2 actually felt like there was more continuation to the story. There were a lot more elements to the story that were true to the first movie. Overall, I just want to say that Richard Donner is a freaking genius. He should have made Superman 2 back in the day, and there's no telling where the Superman film franchise would have gone if he kept on board. I mean, to sum it up, pretty much, it's like Richard Donner was to Superman what Tim Burton was to Batman. He got it off the ground, he made a great film, and films that audiences still love today. And likewise, Richard Lester is to Superman what Joel Schumacher was to Batman. He camped it up and split audiences. But anyway, Hope you enjoyed this. Go buy Superman 2. Thanks for watching.